Hello and welcome back to Processing the Process, where we capture and discuss the technical, psychological, and contextual dynamics that shape the process of creating a work of art. Week by week, moment by moment, we are following Allie K. Dakers, teacher, actor, director, and producer, as she shapes the development of her innovative middle school drama club and guides her students' idiosyncratic artistic journeys. Today, we will be focusing on the October 17th Drama Club meeting, which was the first one of the 2018-2019 season. Mm-hmm. So, Allie, I thought we'd open with a bit of context. As you may remember from our last videocast, Allie is a full-time special ed teacher and, of course, the director of the Middle School Drama Club. But that's not all. She, in addition to those responsibilities, is an after-school tutor. She is the director of the high school drama club, and she is a certified yoga instructor. So, needless to say, your plate is full. Yeah. And Allie, you've expressed to me that often you struggle to find time to prepare everything the way you would like it to be for your drama club meetings, and often have to grab time from your lunch period and school break just to kind of keep up with what you need to do for those meetings. So it is tough. Mm-hmm. And I know that you planned for this first meeting to set up special display boards that outline the key facets of the drama club in a visually exciting way. Mm-hmm. And you had hoped to set them up in the lobby right outside the auditorium where the drama club meeting takes place, so that when the kids come and they gather before the meeting begins, they would see this and get really excited about the new season. Yeah. Well, here is what I call your first external challenge. Yeah. Given your academic schedule that day, those extra slots were simply not available, and logistically, Allie simply could not have all of this ready in the way she had envisioned. And I'm sure we can all relate to first day of anything, and you have this idea of how you'd like it to play out in your mind. So I was wondering, Allie, did that throw you off at all?
It didn't throw me off as much as just I had to quickly sort of reassess how was I going to introduce this information. And the idea was to have these boards set up, which were from the previous year, last year's showcase. So it's the whole program, all of different descriptions, so the parents can see and understand more about what's going on, and the photographs and all of these things. So I wanted outside of the auditorium for the kids, while they're waiting for me to bring them inside for the meeting, they themselves are kind of generating some of that excitement. The kids returning, like, that's me, oh my gosh, remember this, da-da-da. And it just didn't happen. Which is okay. I just had to sort of redesign where I was going to throw that in, and I did. I put it in later on when we discussed the structure of the club. So it was still used, it was still purposeful, it was still, celebrated the kids that now as an entire group got to see, hey, that's me, pointing all of that. But it wasn't exactly the same as what I would have wanted with the kids themselves talking without any adults around about the experience. So
exactly.
But it's okay. These things happen.
And indeed they do. Yeah. And we will be here to document the many things that are likely to occur as they do in any artistic endeavor. Well, the meeting begins, and Allie discovers she has 32 kids, plus another 8 who want to be drama club members but could not attend the meeting. So, quick math, yes, I'm capable of this one too. We're up to 40. And if we compare that with last year's ensemble group of roughly 22 to 25 kids, that is a big jump in numbers. So, Allie, I thought that we would take a look at possible implications of this for both you and the program. And I realize that you can only speculate at this point in time. It's very early. But how do you think having so many kids might affect your approach to the curriculum?
Well, a lot of the times we do play large group games, which is fantastic, and everybody's involved. But when we get into the more topical experiences, how do we do certain acting techniques and whatnot, I have games played where I have 2 to 4 kids up doing something and the rest of everybody are watching and observing with purpose. So we're seeing the intention behind the game. Maybe potentially we're looking at something to do with characterization. So all the kids are watching these scenes and then afterwards we'll say, oh, what did you notice? What did you see? What strategies are being used? All of this. When you have 20 kids, that's okay. That moves through. When you have upwards of 35, 40 kids, you have a lot of kids sitting around. You have a lot of kids losing their focus. You have a lot of kids waiting to go for only those few moments. So I do absolutely, that was the first thing I thought of. What am I going to do to accommodate the interest, the energy, and also make the experiences meaningful? So I'm going to have to basically figure out how I can reconstruct some of these games and some of these activities, potentially breaking up into smaller groups that I then can kind of rove through, and then coming back together at the end for reflection rather than reflecting after each time a kid went up or kids went up for something. And I'm going to need to restructure that. I'm definitely going to have to look at what I've done in the past, look at my resources, talk to some people, get ideas as well.
Right.
That's a huge part of this is the collaboration with other people that do this.
Exactly.
So yeah, that was my first thought. I was like, holy cow. All right, boom, wheels are turning. So luckily that first meeting was informational and there was a lot of sitting and a lot of listening. But I pointed that out. I said, today, we are going to need to get information. So bear with me. So I didn't have to suffer through not being prepared at that moment, but my wheels are turning now for the year for sure.
Wow. On one hand, a great problem to have. On the other hand, it's that piece of the system that shifts and then the whole system has to shift.
Yeah.
So it can be quite a challenge, but I must tell you all that I have no doubt Allie's up to that challenge for sure. My second question in thinking about that is, how do you maintain any sense of intimacy?
Yeah, that's going to be that's going to be really tricky. I think what's going to have to happen is when I do sort of break these games that are typically larger group, and I don't mean large group like everybody's participating all at once. I mean like an audience actor sort of experience. I'm going to have to discover ways that within those smaller groups that now I'm breaking up, I can get to the different groups, explain what's happening, what should we be looking for, and then maybe give them specific things to note that they can pay attention to, be ready to share out, and then really all come back together as a group. And almost like how an educational term is like jigsawing. So not everybody's looking at the same thing, but different groups are looking for different things, and all together we can then take those pieces and put them all back together in the understanding, so the kids feel ownership and like they have effectively contributed, and all together those different groups will then make up that whole concept that they worked together to construct. It's not everybody doing the same thing and saying their experience, mine was like this, my experience was like that. We literally need to hear all the parts to make it all come together. So that's something that I'm working with. I have to figure out the details on that one.
Exactly.
But pedagogically speaking, that's probably the direction that I'll take at this point in time. So
it's interesting you said pedagogically speaking, because as you were describing this, I was thinking both in terms of classic situations for teachers with large classes and breaking them up into small groups, and even corporate meetings, where you're breaking out into your smaller groups and working on a particular challenge or training project, as it were. And, coming back together from there, and maybe those are templates that you may wind up following.
I might be looking into that for sure. Yeah.
And also with so many members, and even if you hadn't had all of these, this group of 40, how do you integrate the returning ensemble members with the kids who are coming in for the first time?
Yeah. I think the focus there is leadership and community. I'll immediately turn to those kids returning and greet them and say, welcome back. Look at all the many kids we have. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to create together. I also turn to them when we have our group discussion, intro meeting of various safety things, various pieces of information I'm looking for that I know they know the answer to. I'll call on them and give them the opportunity to kind of teach the others, show what they know, build up a little bit of that confidence,
Yes.
And also talking to them about how I know you're going to include the others. I know you're going to teach them so well. I know you're going to show them the ropes and really make them kind of feel like it is their club and they're going to share it with others.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a big part about it is building the leadership skills so that they feel like they have to hold up the club and then encouraging them to embrace those that are new,
That's great because in essence, the what is the word I'm thinking of? Not the success of the club depends on their being able to execute this role.
And they got to buy into it.
And they have to take, I was going to say they have to take ownership of it, but I would imagine if they come to understand that the success of the enterprise is very much in their hands.
Oh yeah.
Then you probably achieve that goal.
Yeah.
And finally, what do you think attracted so many kids this year?
I don't know. I do have a couple of siblings, so that could be something. This particular incoming sixth grader, very energetic, and maybe they're also particularly artistic. I know that there are a lot of singers, a lot of dancers, things like that. We also, maybe there's just more interest in general. I have no idea. Perhaps they saw, what we've done in the past and are interested in being a part of it. Either, whatever the reasons, I can't wait to we're going to be talking about the reasons. We do have kind of a game that sort of opens up to the why they're there.
Right.
So I'm curious myself to know where they all come from. So, which is good though. It's great.
Oh, it is great news. And as Allie described the flow of the meeting to me, I was really struck by the fact that every word that she utters, every action she takes, every part of that curriculum has a purpose, whether it is to elicit information that Allie needs, facilitate a desired dynamic, reinforce specific values, create a certain atmosphere, and educate as well. So as we go through some of the key elements of this particular drama club meeting, let's take a look at the purpose that each one of those elements serves. So first, Allie, you grabbed a couple of sixth grade students and said, you're in charge of filling out the attendance sheets.
Yeah.
And there it was.
This is, again, me not having enough time right before the club starting and kids not realizing they should not have entered the auditorium yet until I went to get them. So 2 brand new sixth graders, I have no idea who they are. These 2 girls walk in and they were like, we're here for drama club. I'm like, awesome, you're being put to work now. I gave them the sheets. I said, make sure everybody fills out their name, put the date in this box, and check off next to everybody's name underneath that box. And, and they're like, okay. And they got it together and they went out. And it worked. It basically created that immediate student environment, student-led environment in the sense you're going to be doing this. This is get used to doing jobs.
Exactly.
And teaching them that they're capable also. And I didn't give them a chance. To even say no. I was like, you're needed right now, and you're going to do this, and you got it. Here, this is the form. This is not difficult. You got this. And they did. They did fine.
They did great.
And the job, it worked out. So I got that done. I was like, when I saw how many kids, I was like, I don't have time for this during the meeting. Some kid's going to take care of this for me right now.
And sure enough, they did.
Yeah.
And right thereafter, Allie called out 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, for those of us who don't know what that is, that's like, oh. But for her veterans, that means be quiet and pay attention. So as they're shushing all of the new kids, Allie then gave them very explicit instructions, again, right off the bat.
Yeah.
You go into the auditorium, you bring your backpack, you pick a seat, you sign in, you make a circle on the stage. Boom, 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 boom. So, Allie, was this a way to establish a sense of structure right at the outset?
Yeah, for sure. It's like herding kittens if you don't have something like that intact. Plus, they do love it because it's not just like a teacher telling them, do this, okay, now do this, okay. Like, I gave them a list of things, and I said, this is your first task. Welcome to Drama Club. This is your first task. Yeah. And then they achieve the task. They go in, they have to find that seat, and the seat is for their stuff, and that's just logistically so nobody loses anything. They have to find their own chair and put their things on it, and then continue with the process. But establishing the routine allows us to move through the club efficiently and get started quickly because we don't have a lot of time each week. I always feel like I'm racing against the clock to get everything in, to give them like that experience that they're looking for. And it does pay off because then I do it once, I do it a couple times, reminding them, and then they know what to do, and I don't have to say anything. And the kids themselves, everything is set up for them when they walk in, and they know now just check off their name too because we've already written down our name on the attendance sheet, like those 2 girls took care of it for me. So now it's just checking a box at this point and circling up on stage. So
right, so they inculcate that pretty quickly, and then you can kind of move through it. Now, during this time, you had the opportunity to greet all of your returning drama club students, and in our first video cast, if you remember, Allie, you said that this was the piece you were most looking forward to with the return of the drama club. So, did it play out as you imagined it would?
Yeah, pretty much. My returning kids came in. They were all excited. They were eager to answer all the questions, all of this. If I hadn't gotten a chance to reconnect, since the start of the year, I would chat, how was your summer? Did you do any drama? Blah, blah, blah. And even like in the hallways leading up during the course of the day, we'd like share a smile, like see you later, all that kind of stuff. So it was sweet. It was really nice.
Oh, that's so great. Maybe it helped to make up for the boards that weren't ready on time.
Boards? No.
Oh my gosh.
It's all good.
Well, you then read a special quote about life in the theater. And you asked the kids to verbalize what they think it means, and then you offered your interpretations. So right from the beginning, you had the kids think about why they came to Drama Club in the first place. So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah. The quote was about basically the essence of theater is about transformation. It's about being present. It's about connecting. It's about making your audience feel in this moment, at this moment. And I asked them basically to shed some light on what they thought that meant. And a lot of kids are, they may not be able to kind of articulate that. Right. So you have little comments like, acting things out is fun. I'm like, yes, it is for sure. Definitely. But I kind of then, moved through there, like kind of iterating some of what they said in more of an articulate way, I guess you could say, as well as I'm speaking right now.
Which is great.
Yeah. But I said, so if this quote has resonated with any of you in the sense of like finding your voice, desire to pretend to be other people, sending a message, love to pretend, love to act, love to sing, love to communicate, love to create, I said, then this is the place for you, and welcome to the Drama Club. I tried to hit up, I can't remember everything that I said, but I tried to hit up all of the potential reasons why a kid may have walked in the door. And my intention there is for them to kind of recognize, someone knows what I feel about this. Someone knows that feeling is inside of me. you know, and that is just, it's to build trust with them and to let them know that you know, we're going to be able to have some fun this year. So.
God, and when I heard that, I thought to myself, what a wonderful way to welcome these kids, Allie. Really, I was touched. Mm. And then after introducing herself and describing a bit about her theater experiences, Allie went right into leading the warm-up. Now, I found this to be very interesting because Allie does not use verbal instructions. Rather, she asks the students to watch, listen, and follow her. And immediately in my mind, I'm thinking, essential skills for performers. But Allie says she also learns a great deal about the kids from this approach. Can you explain how you do that?
Yeah. And in terms of, like the very beginning, I give these explicit step-by-step instructions. That's different. That's me needing to get things done and setting a tone. But in these contexts, the activities, the games, things like that, I use this as a litmus test in a way to find out which kids are good listeners, which kids have a good sense of body awareness without me having to tell them exactly what to do, which kids pick up on things quickly, which kids are struggling to do that, which kids maybe be more shy, which kids are a little more outgoing, which kids are going to steal focus, which kids are going to be talking the entire time. You know, I also...
the whole spectrum.
Exactly. I also see the standout leaders, too, which is important to know. You know, who can I turn to? Right. But also, is there, you know, where are they on that spectrum of leadership? Because we cross the line over into being, you know, intimidating, bossy, etc. So how do we, what are some, I kind of see right off the bat, all right, who would I got here? Who am I dealing with here?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Wow. Well, during another warm-up exercise that Allie calls Clap Connect, one person establishes a clapping movement or another physical movement pattern that the whole group observes and then repeats together. Then, let's see if I get this right. The person who started the movement turns to his or her neighbor, and the two of them repeat the pattern.
Yes, you connect.
And
do
connect.
The pattern as one. Yeah.
And then, if Allie was that second
I would receive
person,
it, I would turn to the next person, connect, and so on around the circle, around the circle, around the circle.
Right. And then at the end, they all do it together as a sort of way of coming together. Yeah. And I was wondering again what were some of the purposes of that particular game.
This is a big body awareness one too. Can a kid stomp and clap at the same time? Good to know. But it's to kind of break the ice, break down barriers. Part of the game is looking in the eye and really making that connection. You have kids that are not necessarily knowing each other, standing next to each other. So it does break down the barriers. It builds a sense of unity as they try to make everything sound as one and try to complete the pattern all the way through. And it enables me to watch the whole entire group work together because I step out of that. I'm not a part of that. I give them the instruction and then I step out. So it's kind of them on their own and I can see how they're relating to one another as a whole.
I imagine that those benefits are also part of your exercise that you call Instagroup.
Yeah.
Which reminds me a little bit of musical chairs.
It's very musical cherry. Yeah.
From the old days where the students move around the space to music. When the music stops, Allie calls out a number. That represents the number of groups that the kids then have to make spontaneously. And as this time goes on, every time they make another group, they have to make sure that they do it with different people. So I'm thinking again about the making connections, building unity, so on and so forth. Perhaps getting back to the intimacy.
Yes, for sure.
Issue.
Breaking, just like basically breaking down any kind of boundaries.
Right.
Within reason, obviously.
Exactly.
But it's also because we're going to be working in groups throughout the entire year. I don't want kids to be like, that's my friend and I'm not going to be with that person because I don't know them. Immediately, I say we are one whole group.
That's right.
And immediately we're going to just support each other to get together. They were interesting this year. They kind of just clumped in the middle of the stage. It was very interesting. I mean, they did what they needed to do, but they completely, it's like they didn't realize they had an entire stage space to play upon. And that was really interesting for me to see. They were just very, like, all, like, right and snuggled in the middle. And I was like, okay, it was just funny. It's funny to see that.
Interesting. Wondering if maybe they were, in their own nonverbal way, lending support to one another.
Collective consciousness there.
You know, don't know what we're going to be facing, but we're going to face it together.
Maybe. Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, they did well.
Perhaps that'll become more evident as time goes on.
Maybe they just need more spatial awareness.
That could be too.
We'll learn that as we go too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And at this point, Allie discussed stage safety rules and asked the kids why they thought these rules were important. So not only, Allie, do you know the purpose of an action or a directive or an exercise, but you make sure that the kids do as well.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think you were talking about that they were learning to respect the space in essence.
Yeah.
And be aware of their surroundings and listen to directions. So again, very clear purpose in mind. And next, Allie reviewed the way in which the drama club is structured. In essence, what to expect throughout the years, or as I see it, sort of pulling back the lens and giving them a bigger picture focus. And at this point, Allie announced that the drama club had grown to the point that now they will be able to have their from the page to the stage performance at the end of the season without having to share the evening with any other extracurricular group as they have had to in the past. So you should have heard the cheer that went up.
Yeah, the kids from previous years were excited. And not that it was a bad thing to be tied to a larger event with other groups. We needed a venue, and it was there, and it was fantastic for the years that we were in, you know, in tandem with these other groups happening. But these kids want their own night, and the numbers have allowed us to now do that, knowing that the kids are dedicated and will commit and follow through has allowed me to do that. And I spoke with, you know, our administrators and whatnot and secured our date, and I'm excited. And I'm also hoping, which we couldn't do in the past, I'm hoping to also have like an in-school assembly as well for for the whole school, maybe like a teaser of a scene, that a full cast scene that all the kids do or whatever. But I know that they've been wanting a little more exposure, as any group of performers might want, you know.
Sure.
It's a valuable lesson for them because they realize that we've got to start somewhere and we grow from there. And I'm actually experiencing that same thing like with my high school group right now. As they begin a process of growing something new this year. Last year we just explored with games and improv and whatnot. So this year their intention is to produce something. So we'll have to check back in on the details of that here and there, a little peppering of that.
Absolutely.
Because I have no idea how it's going to go, like all of these did start. So it's a good lesson for the younger ones to know you have to start somewhere and be grateful for those opportunities, and then we grow as we're ready for it. So
absolutely, it's very exciting news.
Yeah,
and
it's good.
Then Allie went on to explain what she calls the tools of the trade: the body, the face, and the voice. And I immediately thought of, wow, you know, every actor comes in with everything he or she needs: body, face, and voice, in order to tell their stories. So I thought that was very, very interesting. And that brought them to their first game, theater game of the session, which Allie calls "What Are You Doing?" And again, I will do my best to describe this one. Kid number one begins to pantomime an action, let's say brushing his teeth. Kid number two comes over, says, "What are you doing?" But kid number one doesn't describe actually what he's doing. He describes what he wants kid number two to do. So he might say, "rolling on the floor." And then kid number 2 has to pantomime rolling on the floor. And then kid number 3 approaches kid number 2, asks, what are you doing? And the same thing happens, going all around the circle. And Allie, you felt the kids did really well with this game. Yeah. And you also told me you saw it, as you mentioned earlier, with another exercise as a litmus test.
Definitely.
How was this one a litmus test?
This one's different in the sense it's not so much about the group dynamic or individuals' listening skills or whatnot. This is where I start to see more of the acting skills, theatrical skills. I get to understand their personalities more, to what they're bringing to these characters that they're creating, to these the type of ideas that they come up with. A kid might just simply say, I'm brushing my teeth. Another one might come in and say, I'm a piece of chocolate and I'm melting in the sun. Like, there's a big difference there in terms of where this kid's mind is going versus the other. Both are great. Both are absolutely workable. And you just get that litmus test a little bit deeper of who the kids are. You also see about assertiveness as well, who's willing to kind of maybe go there and take it a little further, a little bravery with what they're choosing. And you find those standouts too. You do the ones that are kind of ready for more. The ones that you're going to, okay, that one I'm going to make sure that I'm giving them what they need to help them continue to grow. Because you do have this big difference of kids who are like standing shyly and they can't barely squeak a sound. And then you have kids that have, already an entire whole monologue ready to express inside of them, and they want to right now. So and it helps me kind of balance that energy too.
Well, again, I'm thinking as you're speaking of this huge spectrum of experience and ability, albeit perhaps untapped in certain cases. And again, as we were speaking earlier about your perhaps having to take the jigsaw approach and that way, and maybe this is a sort of analogous to a differentiated learning sort of situation. Definitely. Because you do have a broad range of abilities. And so I think Allie's really helping us to understand how she discerns critical information from all of these exercises and games, so that I imagine you can move forward with that information in order to differentiate your instruction and your facilitation. So again, everything is purposeful and has a long-term application. Then Allie explained, you identified some of the core dynamics and messages that everyone had learned today and mentioned that they would be especially helpful to the drama club kids who intended to audition for the middle school musical. How might they take what they learned in the first meeting and use it to their advantage?
Well, typically, it's kind of interesting. I had to change things up this year because I usually create a meeting designed to train them to audition. So I give them sides, we play with them, they so I didn't have that opportunity. So I had to kind of like just give the little syncopated version of like, here's what you should do there, But so I didn't have as much skill-based sort of advice for them, if you will. Other than what we had discussed, body, face, voice, what are you doing, etc. So I focus more on staying positive, being respectful, and the connection, being connected with your scene partners. It's going to go 1,000 miles. If you're just with your paper and you're like this and all of that, whether you're nervous or not, maybe you can orate as beautiful, as you need to for that character. It sounds perfect, but if, you're not ready to show that you can work with others and you're open to that connection to really truly tell the story and naturally, so you're also not putting on like a very fake kind of character. So I wanted the kids to recognize the importance of being themselves and building character upon that, but don't underestimate the value of what you bring just with that body, face, voice yourself too.
Exactly.
You know, and also working towards the same goal. We're not there. While it is a competition, of course,
Interesting.
it will not play well for you if you are like the bratty kid who's acting like you're better than everybody else. So we definitely touched on that as well. So super important.
Great. And good timing that your first meeting was right before auditions. And as you say, less technical coaching and more of a sort of strategic kind of approach that anyone needs to know, I think. Adults and kids alike for any kind of theatrical audition. So overall, I got the sense that you felt the kids were really open and accepting of new experiences in this first meeting. And Allie, I have to believe that this is largely due to your approach that is so purposeful, structured, respectful, and focused on team building and self-reflection. And in my mind, those all create an environment that feels safe and empowering. And one of the last things that occurred is that Allie made the decision to bring parents into the process at the very beginning this year by sharing with them the full curriculum. So, Allie, what did you hope to achieve by, I think, bringing them in earlier and going into greater depth?
Well, in the past, I would create an information sheet, packet, email that I would send out to the parents of the kids that have kind of been locked in now and are part of the production coming up. Say, this is how we started the year, then we did this, now we're doing this, and we will be getting ready for production. So I realized I shouldn't, in some ways, like you said, like kind of let it be known what we're doing for a couple of reasons. One, maybe there's more involvement of people that didn't know. Maybe a parent knows another parent who has a kid. You know what, your little Tommy didn't come out, but maybe he wants to, or maybe, maybe Tommy's having a bit of a tough time finding his niche, finding his place. We have a motto, the stage door is always open. That's sort of one of our little catchphrases, so in some ways you can kind of build on inclusivity and not that I need a ton more kids joining us just but in terms of those kids, other reasons really are letting the community know the breadth and the depth of what we're doing.
Yes.
And understand the investment that the kids are making once they enter the program. Developing awareness and that there will be a level of commitment expected, but not demanded, because like you can come, you can go. It's really only once we get into the playwriting process that we kind of I intend to ask, okay, now you're in, now you're locked in, and it would be detrimental to the group if you were to step down now. Now, am I going to chastise a kid because he can't do something or he changed his mind or realized he was overwhelmed? Of course not. And I'm really clear about that in the beginning, because kids could initially become intimidated, like, what, now we have to do a show? I just wanted to play a theater game. So I do make sure they understand, by no means are you committed into it, but for those kids that potentially may be, I want parents to be aware up front of that expectation, and I want them to feel a part of it. I want them to also know that they're a member. They're a drama club family. It's not just a kid that shows up on our weekly meetings. Like, you're a drama club family, and we want you to be a part of things. So,
well, it really sounds like a win-win-win across the board by taking that approach.
Hopefully, yeah.
You, the kids, parents. All in this together, to quote from, no, I won't tell you. But finally, I did want to highlight a key contextual element that we really referred to at the beginning of this video cast, which is the fact that Allie has so much on her plate. And just a quick review, not only as a full-time special ed teacher and director of the middle school drama club, but after school tutor, director of high school drama club, and certified yoga instructor. Now, obviously you have to divide your time, your focus. You're being pulled in multiple directions simultaneously, perhaps more than ever this year. And knowing that you give all of yourself to every endeavor you're involved in, how do you think this is going to affect you?
Well, we'll see. I will say, though, that first and foremost, my husband, John, keeps me grounded. He is a rock. He's there for me. He's supportive in all of these endeavors. He makes sure to check in with me. How we doing? What's going on? All of this. Are you going to yoga today? Like,
Right.
But in terms of the day-to-day, I literally have to live, as we all do, day to day. Like, I know what my week holds, but when I wake up that morning, I'm like, okay, all I can think about is Tuesday. All I can think about is the to-do list that's right here. I will have done the work that I needed to do over the weekend, or prepping or making sure that I have everything in a row so that I can do that. But that's not typically how I'm used to working. I'm a very organic person. I'm usually, like, I kind of feel my schedule out. I'm like, yeah, today's the day. This is all going to work out. This is going to be like that. Well, I really have had to kind of check myself on that. I don't think that would be sustainable with this current schedule. So I really am working hard to take steps to support my organization. I'm budgeting my time more. I am very clear as to when and where I need to be, and what I need to have to make those endeavors successful. I make sure that I do go to my yoga studio. When I'm not teaching, I make sure I go a couple of times a week to just tap in and connect with the people there that really also help to kind of keep me grounded and feel balanced. And let go, like let my mind not think about anything else but that time and that space that I've given to myself. And I give myself the opportunity to turn off at night. I definitely, I mean, sometimes it's really late at night, but I definitely am like, done, no more. I'm doing nothing at all except something that I really just want to do. Maybe it's, my husband and I watching a show that we like to watch, or just, maybe some meditation, which honestly I should do more of. I'm not saying like I meditate every day, maybe a few minutes here and there. But that's something that I do intend to, as the year progresses, to really develop more steady practice in that, because I do know the benefits that I receive from, really pressing pause. Right. Because like I think all of us do feel when we have so much going on, you really do feel that anxiety build. Like it's there. It's real. It's there. Yeah. And it can get the best of me. It is something that I work with and cope with, as many of us do. When you're high level, when you have a perfectionist kind of outlook or expectation, which I do, despite my like organic, easy nature in terms of how I, walk through the world, it's still I expect things to go well. So, so I need to definitely kind of keep that in check and ask myself, how am I doing today? And make sure I kind of hit up the marks and that I know will help me to kind of stay on top, stay balanced. So.
Well, thinking about what you just said and what we were talking about in the beginning in terms of the implications of shift in dynamics and elements that you have to work with. Of course, those of my colleagues who know me inevitably are going to say she's going to talk about process. But that's exactly what comes to mind, that the movement from a more organic way of being into a more structured and predetermined type of setup, given these contextual variables, I have to believe is going to be a process. Just as the fact that you will need to, in some ways, go back to the drawing board from a curriculum standpoint and the approaches you utilize, because you have so many students. And, as you were discussing what you imagined you would need to do, as a result, a process came in my mind again. So all of these things don't, of course, just pick it off the tree. Okay, this one, here we go. It's going to evolve. And I'm thrilled that we have the opportunity through our videocasts to capture that evolutionary process and give it language and share it with you. And so with that, we thank you for joining us today after the inaugural meeting of the 1819 season. And we look forward to delving into these process dynamics every week, but in particular next week, because this one was so meaty. As I said to Allie before, there was so much that happened and so much meaning attached to it. And we will do our best, as always, to try and make sense of it with you and for you. So once again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.